working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
he did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
Hello. Welcome to the 2021 AIA North Carolina Design and Chapter Awards Program. I am Laura Miller, the president of AIA North Carolina this year. Thank you all for being here this evening. Most of you here are aware that we could not put on programs like this without the generous support of sponsors. Tonight, we want to acknowledge one of these sponsors who was instrumental in helping our region put on the Aspire Conference this year. Janica Grease and Martin Jensen with Quattro Reflective Installation are here with us this evening, and we'd like to extend our gratitude and thank you so much for your support. We're so glad you could be here with us tonight. All right, it's time to begin the program with the 2021 Design Awards. To get us started, it is my pleasure to bring to the stage the chair of this year's Design Awards Committee, Blaine Brownell, FAIA, Director of the School of Architecture at UNC Charlotte College of Arts and Architecture. Blaine?
Thank you, Laura. And thanks to AIA North Carolina. I just wanted to say this has been such a fun introduction to this state. I moved to Charlotte in July 2020 to take on this new role from Twin Cities in Minnesota. I was at University of Minnesota. So the ability to have this wonderful opportunity to get up to speed with your incredible community is something I've cherished. All of the awards were juried outside of the state of North Carolina in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the offices of Vincent James and Associates Architects, Chapter Executive Vice President David Crawford, Awards Director Carrie Dixon, and I were hosted there by our jury chair, Jennifer Yos, FAIA. So she's a partner at VJAA and an old friend and a great juror. We had the honor of presenting a total of 95 projects to the jury for their consideration. And as you might imagine, Dave, Carrie, and I were tight-lipped. There were times we wanted to say something, but we couldn't. So we were completely agnostic, but the experience was a good one. The jury was very good. So here's a very brief look at our jury members.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For my monster from his slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
He did the mash.
he did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard
He
smash.
did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast, the ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get a jolt from my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster
The
mash.
monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. The guests included Wolfman, Dracula, and his son. The scene was rocking, all were digging the sounds. Igor on chains, backed by his baying hounds. The coffin bangers were about to arrive with their vocal group, the Crypt Kicker
They
Five.
played the mash.
They played the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard
They
smash.
played the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They played the mash.
They played the monster mash. Out from his coffin.
So it was a very fun and action-packed day with these individuals, and I would like to thank all of the jurors for their service. We asked a lot of them, and they delivered. You can find the jurors' full bios in tonight's program. Now on to the awards.
An Unbuilt Merit Award goes to Destination Crenshaw by Perkins and Will.
The Unbuilt project presents beautiful drawings that are a bold intervention in the neighborhood that transforms the edge of the Crenshaw neighborhood in LA. The jury really appreciated the wall that engages the fabric of the community. And there are multiple ways of experiencing the design as both object and occupation. It weaves well thought out and developed elements along the street.
An Unbuilt Merit Award goes to Mary Potter Cultural Complex by Evoke Studio Architecture.
The jury appreciated the use of multiple new building materials and elements to tie the campus together. Strategic edits and additions respect, preserve, and enhance the character of the existing buildings, extending their life and bringing new energy to the community.
Last night, werewolves of London again. Werewolves of London. Werewolves of London. He's the hairy-handed gent who ran amok in Kent.
A Residential Merit Award goes to Hoos by In Situ Studio.
The Hoos project has a very interesting set of relationships to both the street and to the site and the yards. It is subtle as you approach, with very interesting details around how the entry is screened, how you move into the space, how material is weathered and detailed, and how the different layers of the building are conjoined.
A Residential Merit Award goes to Fala Residence by Stitch Design Shop.
In the Fala House, this project, the architect carefully held on to the classic elements of the house and made thoughtful insertions to transform it into a contemporary and functional home. The elegant wood and color palette is warm and inviting. The new home environment of the old is ready for today, and he did an amazing job, or he or she did an amazing job from where they started.
A Merit Award goes to Joyner Park Community Center by Clark Nixon.
It includes well-integrated moments of a humble shed backdrop with sensitive articulation of entry porches and sunshades, demonstrating economy of means. It is a simple architectural diagram that is well executed, creating a center the community can enjoy and be proud of.
This place is coming like a
A Merit Award goes to Durham Studio at Mutual Tower by Perkins and Will.
This renovation is a complementary insertion into this mid-century architecture. With the exposed concrete and chocolate wood, it brings a richness to the area that one would not expect. The parterre pulls away from the exterior to allow for expansive views and an inspiring environment. The details and the movable panels bring a sense of play to this thing we call work.
A Merit Award goes to Western Carolina University Brown Dining Hall Building Renovation and Addition by Watson Tate Savory.
The insertion helps to organize the existing building in a very clear way. It is a simple and effective move that breathes new life into the building. The cross-section reveals how the spine mediates the changes in topography and helps to ground the project on the site.
A Merit Award goes to Sycamore Hill Gateway Plaza by Perkins and Will in association with Roadside and Harwell.
The jury responded very strongly to the Sycamore Hill Gateway Plaza project for its ability to evoke memories of both structures and people. The project is a really powerful use of traces of past structures interwoven with stories of individuals who were part of the community to create a strong public place and plaza.
A Residential Honor Award goes to Head's House by Silo Architecture and Design.
The project uses familiar vernacular forms in surprising and original ways. It experiments with material and massing, and really manipulates the form in very discrete sculptural interventions. The project is beautifully composed and very thoughtfully considered. Every material corner in detail, and from the point where the building joins the ground to where the wall becomes the roof, are all carefully considered.
An honor award goes to Camp North End by BB&M Architecture.
The project is entirely subtractive, which is really great. What's really powerful about it is that it's all about the editing. It takes something that's really kind of banal and really makes beauty out of things that are very, very ordinary. There are lots of unexpected moments. There's this really great relationship between indoor and outdoor space. And there's really a really rich sort of visual texture that gets made out of these very banal buildings.
An honor award goes to Clark Townhomes by the Raleigh Architecture Company.
The Clark townhomes are beautiful in their simplicity and clarity. The articulation of a restrained palette of materials and crisp detailing are not easy to achieve. Daylight and vertical circulation organize the interiors, and the roof terraces are simply beautiful. This is a quality project.
I don't know what you've done to me, but I know this much is true. I wanna do bad things with you. I wanna do real bad things with you.
An honor award goes to Edneyville Elementary School by Clark Nexon.
The jury really enjoyed this project. It was evidently designed with a great deal of care and considered the experience of students and faculty as well as connections to the landscape. A lot was accomplished on a limited budget. It's a public school after all. And the jury really appreciated the data to support the framework for design excellence measures of designing for change, resources, and the community. We really thought these spaces would be wonderful to occupy.
An honor award goes to Woodland Classroom by In Situ Studio.
This building is really simple and really elegant. It's not fussy. It has a strong connection to the outdoors. The way the light and the skylights help break up the mass of the space really help to define it. There are multiple ways to experience the outdoors. There's a really, really strong connection. The section really extends the whole building out into the landscape.
Cat looking over his shoulder at me, and he's strange, sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch.
There is one final Design Honor Award to give out this evening, but this project comes with a special designation, so I'm going to conclude my hosting duties at this point. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity. But before I do that, I want to congratulate all of our design winners and ask you to join me in a round of applause for all the great projects we've honored tonight. Now I will turn it back over to our 2021 AIA North Carolina President, Laura Miller.
Thank you, Blaine. And please convey our appreciation to the jury members for the great work they did and the time and energy they brought to the jurying process. It is now time to move on to our chapter awards. At this time, I'd like to bring up the committee chair and AIA North Carolina immediate past president, Rod Lindsay, AIA.
I'd like to start tonight off, though, real quickly and say thanks to Dave for all the work that you do, Maggie and Carrie, everything you guys do. As I roll off the board, this is my last time to really say thank you in front of a group of folks that do not understand how much time and effort you guys put in to make us look good, not only as a chapter, but also our chapter nationally and how we are a leader among other chapters and peer chapters. So again, thank you very much. I've been attending these award chapters or the chapter awards programs for many years. This has got to be one of my favorites. It's such an honor for me to play a small role in recognizing the outstanding achievements for which all these award recipients have been responsible. Tonight, we will be presenting 6 of the most prestigious chapter honors. The very first of our brand new awards, the Associate Award, the Young Architect Award, and the EP Friendly Firm Award. Also, we'll be presenting with the Camp Hepner Prize, the Firm Award, and the F. Carter Williams Gold Medal. But first, as Blaine mentioned, there is an additional design award to convey this evening. This award is a hybrid of sorts. It is only the second year this award honors the design legacy of the late Phil Freon, FAIA. The intent is to combine the best design with the objective of creating wonderful places for the public. We have combined our design awards process with the oversight of our Chapters Awards Committee to convey this new award. We asked the Design Awards Committee to look at the pool of projects that they were, to look at the pool of projects and flag 3 to 5 to present to the consideration to the Chapter Awards Committee. One project each year will be given this honor. The new award endeavors to encourage, solicit, and showcase projects in the public realm that embody the ideals of Phil. Phil sought to engage with the communities and the built environment. The following quote has been used as a guidance in determining the selection. I have worked through my career as an architect to create environments that are uplifting, inspiring, and set the tone for sharing knowledge and facilitating cultural exchanges. You see, I believe the built environment, buildings and landscapes can and should contribute in a positive way to the lives of everyday people. Beautiful architecture should be accessible to all people. Carrie?
An honor award and the Phil Freelon Public Architecture Award goes to Route 9 Library and Innovation Center by Perkins and Will.
This project, like its metaphor, really embraces the community and brings it in under the veil. I love the canopy column array that keeps it light and focused. The plan is well organized underneath this veil and allows for excessive light, but provides the screening that is necessary for a comfortable environment. The colors are very complementary in the interior and helps showcase the fun and innovation that can happen within.
Hey, I just wanted to say really quickly, we're really honored by this award. This is one of the first projects that I worked on in the studio with Phil, actually concurrently. So I don't know if it's cheating that we got this award. But has been transformational for that community. We've gotten a chance to work with the same county again on another project as a follow-up. And it's been a pleasure just remembering those times and sort of the demeanor that he had, with that community. And it's we're just very thankful for this recognition and honor, and just want to recognize him and his role as well. Thank you. Oh.
This is quite an honor. And when we think about Phil's work, this Route now 9 library that Scott worked on with him really exemplifies everything that he was about. So thank you.
Now we are moving on to the next award. This year, we took on a task of renaming our Emerging Professional Award. We wanted to recognize our members of all stages of their careers for exceptional work they do for AIA North Carolina. Tonight, I am pleased to start off with the first annual AIA North Carolina Associate Award. This award was created to recognize outstanding leaders and creative thinkers for significant contributions to their communities and to the architecture profession.
The AIA Associates Award is given to an individual associate AIA member to recognize outstanding leaders and creative thinkers for significant contributions to their communities and the architecture profession. This year, AIA North Carolina is pleased to present the North Carolina Associate Award to Jennifer Peeler-Truman, Associate AIA.
When this opportunity came up to nominate someone for this Associates Award, I couldn't think of anyone better than Jen Truman to nominate.
I think one of my earliest memories of Jen was when I spoke at the AIS South Quad Conference in Raleigh that she helped plan while a student leader at NC State. And I remember that she was a strong leader then, and she's a strong leader now. But beyond that, Jen is somebody that's realized the importance of paving the way for other future leaders. She's been a tireless advocate for our emerging professionals.
I'm just glad to see her do exactly what we use the term apprentice in our office, which just shows that over time you develop a set of skills and you can project those skills. You can just take ownership, leadership. You can, advance from sitting behind a computer and doing details to explaining those details to a client and the concepts. So she, within, let's say 5, going on 6, maybe even 7, I can lose track. She has completely grown to be a forefront in the office. And it's the two of us, and people know her as well as me now.
My sentiments are probably very much the same as anybody who's ever worked with Jen Truman. To see how much energy she puts into everything, and especially with AIA and also with public engagement. I don't think I've ever seen an associate of our organization put as much time and effort and energy and just herself or himself into AIA as much as I've seen with Jen.
Jen consistently shows up when it matters, and oftentimes she brings her kids, which I think is great, because she is carving out a place for other parents of young children to be able to remain active and engaged.
I cannot keep track of what title she has or what she does, but she seems to be just active in conversation. So I hear a lot of, or we bounce off ideas, let's say it that way. We'll talk about the status of architecture, where it is, the lobbying we've done recently. So it's kind of funny. I kind of laugh. I just know she does. It seems like she just does it all.
Jennifer Peeler-Truman exemplifies what a citizen architect should be doing. She is active and involved not just in the profession, but in the wider local North Carolina Central community, working to make things better through design and what design can offer.
Community. One of the things I was most impressed with was the fact that you couldn't hardly bring up a topic that she didn't know somebody who was a specialist or really had some inside information on that particular topic. She knew all the people, and I later found out the reason for that was she was as active in the community as she is with AIA.
That just quantifies and goes into what her passions are. So she's always been a leader doing nonprofit things for food and bev, helping farmers markets.
She's on the board of I think the Raleigh Transit Authority. She's been involved in housing issues. She's been involved in food issues, looking at communities in the Raleigh area in terms of housing, how people can live better in community, and has been really an advocate for architecture in these arenas and you never hear about it. I mean, she doesn't, it's not a song and dance about all I've done. She just knows things. She knows how to connect people, and she knows how to make things work. So,
like, the best part of potential is you don't know where it's going. I think her potential is, like, I don't know where to define it or where it's going to go. I just know it's going to go somewhere that's going to surprise us all and going to lead to a lot of really interesting and positive things.
But Jen, let me just say this. I just want you to know this is my greatest heartfelt appreciation for you as a person, as a professional, as a community citizen. I am so pleased that you were the recipient of this Associates Award. And again, I can't think of anyone else more deserving. And I look forward to working with you for many years in the future.
Thank you for holding it with my broken arm. You guys have made an extrovert speechless, so thank you. I'm truly humbled by the arm twisting from Richard and other folks who helped me with this package. When they first suggested that I should do it, I said, but I just help other people do stuff. I like to support all the people around me, and apparently that puts me in a lot of places, which has turned out over time to build up to a lot of good things happening. But I wouldn't really be standing here today without the support of so many leaders in this room. And I just really thank you guys for letting the AIA be a place to practice those leadership skills and practice getting behind the mic and being comfortable speaking for my peer aspiring architects and emerging professionals, for speaking for housing, for transit, for all those other things, to city councilors who need their heads knocked in sometimes. You know, I'm glad I learned it from being in here in the AIA, and I took it out there, and I hope that you guys can do that too, if I can serve as a tiny example of doing that. But I shouldn't leave this stage without thanking my boss, who didn't tell me he said all those nice things in a video. Who patiently puts up with all the time I spend doing this stuff instead of the architecture project I'm supposed to be working on. And also to my husband and my beautiful kids, 3 kids under 6, who are learning to speak at public meetings and are really why I do this. Because my daughter stood up at the city council that night that was in that picture and told them that people live in apartments and people live in houses, and there's absolutely no reason we shouldn't allow apartments and duplexes and triplexes in our city in Raleigh, and that made a change that mattered. And that's why I get up and talk, not just because I like to be loud, as many of you guys know, but because they say those things and they show up to city staff, and my son says, I want more restaurants, and that's good for business for a restaurant design firm, but it's also good for the city. Anyways, I'm an extrovert, so maybe I'm not so speechless. Thank you, guys.
Next, we're moving on to our second Reimagine Award this year, our Young Architect Award. Our Young Architect Award honors individuals who have demonstrated exceptional leadership and make significant contributions to the architecture profession early on in their careers.
Emerging talent deserves recognition. The AIA Young Architects Award honors individuals who have demonstrated exceptional leadership and made significant contributions to the architecture profession early in their careers. This year, we are proud to present the AIA North Carolina Young Architect Award to Matt Barnett, AIA.
I learned of his background, which I think is important to know his background, to know Matt. He became an amazing architect that is not only concerned about good design, but how good design can impact human lives for the better. He's a pretty special person.
He's got a real passion for giving back to the community, and one of the things that he's been involved with is our Ignite committee at LS3P, our Ignite Knowledge team. And he really pushed the idea of us signing up for the 1+ project, which is a commitment to give 1% of our design hours back to pro bono work.
Well, I think too, the other thing is I worked with Matt in an arena, like I said, it wasn't design necessarily. I know he's got some significant, real tremendous design credentials, has done some remarkable projects, has been involved in a lot of projects at a very deep level, award-winning projects, things that have gotten recognition, but they're things that are getting the right kind of recognition. Recognition for their sustainability, for their community engagement, for things of that nature that we don't often see.
He really is all about the story. He's very much about getting to really critically thinking about the design idea from the beginning. He's very tectonic in his design work. Again, he's very passionate about the impact of projects on communities, and also looking at ways to build better, build less expensively. One of the projects he's worked on for Passage Home here in Raleigh is looking at modular construction and how we can fit attainable housing into and missing middle housing into existing neighborhoods, and trying to avoid gentrification that's happening really in every city across the country, where lower income folks are getting pushed out of their neighborhoods. How can we find ways to have more mixed income housing that lives together?
I don't get the impression that Matt is shy about talking to anybody about anything. I mean, he'll go to the president of a company, he'll go to a worker in a firm. He can have a conversation with anybody because he's works at all of these levels simultaneously, and that's been one of the most impressive things. You don't see that in young architects.
He's a little bit of a maverick. He keeps us on our toes, and I think that's great. You know, we need that. We need our young people to push us, and I think Matt is always pushing for better work, better collaboration, and creating a better world.
I think he has the spirit and the natural abilities to be a significant leader, particularly a leader that puts others first, which I think is very much a culture of our firm we try to promote. And I think he's got great potential being a leader, he is a leader, but continue being a leader in the future in a growing way.
Matt, congratulations on winning the Young Architect Award in North Carolina. I applaud your passion, applaud your skill and your talent, and I know you have great things ahead of you.
I'll keep this short and sweet. I grew up in Southport, which is 30 minutes south of here in this community. And then I had the incredible sort of opportunity to go work with some of the best designers in the United States, from Los Angeles, Kansas City, Memphis. And it was always my intention to come back to where I was from and have an impact. And the work that I try to focus on and that LS3P has been very gracious in allowing me to do involves a lot of pro bono, a lot of community focused work, a lot of work for the average person in the everyday sort of buildings. And to me, I try to focus on design excellence for those who need it the most. And so that's what I take to heart, and I do that in my everyday practice. And so I'm incredibly humbled and thankful to be given this award when I've only practiced here for 3 years after all that traveling. And so my intent was always to have the biggest impact possible. And I hope I can continue to do that and continue to work with most of you that are now I call friends. So thank you.
All right. In keeping with the emerging professional theme, we have a committee of EPs working on the next award. They've been working on it for the last 3 years, so it's finally come to fruition, and they're proud to finally unveil the Emerging Professional Friendly Firm program. To introduce this program, let's hear from the EP committee: Shauna Mabey, Jennifer Truman, Julianne Hatfield, Megan Bowles, and Brashay Height.
Over the years, multiple AIA components have developed programs to recognize the efforts of firms to support emerging professionals. From that, the National Young Architects Forum created a toolkit for implementing emerging professional friendly firm recognition programs. As the South Atlantic Young Architect Regional Director, Julianne Hatfield joined the National YAF work group to create the toolkit. From that, the AIA NC Emerging Professional Directors have worked to bring this award to North Carolina in recognition of the efforts of local firms to support and encourage young and aspiring architects.
A key component of the certification and award process was accountability on many fronts that impact the experience of emerging professionals in practice, with an intentional thoughtfulness and on information gathering around equity, diversity, and inclusion. Evidence in this category was paramount to the success of each firm recognized. At an organizational level, many of you have seen the relationship between AIA North Carolina and North Carolina NOMA blossom since 2020. As such, through this process, NC NOMA has had an impactful and influential voice in both developing the award criteria and in jurying the process. To me, this award is an incredible embodiment of the goals of a more equitable and diverse profession that not only emerging professionals, but our entire professional community can be enthused about as we continue to move the needle forward.
As we envision the future of architecture, AIA North Carolina wants to highlight and celebrate workplaces that foster growth and opportunities for emerging professionals to engage in the profession and in our communities. The AIA North Carolina Emerging Professional Friendly Firm Award and Certification was developed to honor architecture firms that create supportive, career-advancing environments for emerging professionals to flourish. Certification will be granted annually to architecture firms that foster the growth of diverse, creative, resilient, and knowledgeable architects. The Outstanding Award will be presented annually to firms that demonstrate they go above and beyond to offer superior support and opportunities to emerging professionals in other exceptional ways.
As a jury, we set a high standard for emerging professional support and judged the submitted packages across a wide range of categories: equity, diversity, and inclusion, support and compensation, professional development, licensing process support, leadership, and practice transparency. We hope that the recognition of this inaugural year's award winners inspires other North Carolina firms to implement emerging professional friendly practices and submit for the recognition next year. This year, the jury has granted 2 firms with an emerging professional friendly firm certification and awarded a single firm with our 2021 Outstanding Emerging Professional Friendly Firm Award. The first firm we granted with an Emerging Professional Friendly Firm certification is LS3P, with North Carolina offices located in Charlotte, Wilmington, and Raleigh. Overall, LS3P scored highly across all categories of emerging professional support. With a balance of both internal programs and externally focused work, they provide many opportunities for their emerging professionals to get out from behind the desk, volunteer, and share architectural expertise with the community, including aspiring architects through their support of ACE mentoring. The jury was especially impressed with the inclusion of emerging professional testimonials in their awards package. The second firm we granted with an Emerging Professional Friendly Firm certification is Perkins & Will, with North Carolina offices located in Durham and Charlotte. Overall, Perkins & Will scored highly across all categories of emerging professional support. Their firm has created multiple programs and initiatives that not only support their employees with solid compensation and benefits packages, but also allow their emerging professional employees the opportunity to engage within the firm with mentors at every level, both one-on-one and in groups.
You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch, yeah. Beatniks out to make it real.
The inaugural award for Outstanding Emerging Professional Friendly Firm goes to Hanbury, with a North Carolina office located in Raleigh. Hanbury stood out from the firms that submitted for the Emerging Professional Friendly Firm Award this year. Scoring highly across all categories of emerging professional support, they also demonstrated a clear collaboration between firm principals and emerging professionals. To the jury, supporting emerging professionals goes beyond how employees are compensated or provided professional development opportunities that ultimately improve the firm's work. Hanbury's use of this award package as an opportunity to show off the accomplishments of their emerging professionals both on and off the clock stood out to the jury as an embodiment of the spirit of this award's goal.
Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch, yeah. Must be the season of the witch. Where'd I go?
Maybe we should have prepared something, but we did not. So I'll make it quick. We want to thank everybody here for nominating us, well, not nominating us, but the committee in selecting us, and Hanbury itself and the support that they give us to do just about everything that we want to, whether it's anything within the community, anything within our firm, being client-facing, every part of the professional practice. They've been incredibly supportive to push our careers as forward as possible. Thank you.
Moving on, we are honored to be presenting again this year the Camp Hefner Prize. For this award, I'd like to bring to the stage the chair of the Camp Hefner Selection Committee, Dennis Stallings, FAIA.
Thank you, Rod, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me once again to be here tonight to present this year's Camp Hefner Prize. Dean Henry Camp Hefner, for whom the prize is named, had and continues to have a powerful influence on the architectural profession and the development of modernism in North Carolina. For those who may not know much about Dean Camp Hefner, I think it's important to give some context to this prize. He was born in Sioux City, Iowa in 1907, graduated from the University of Illinois with a bachelor degree in architecture in 1930. In 1931, he received his Master's of Science degree in architecture from Columbia. Where as a graduate student, he began to feel that traditional Beaux-Arts curriculum really dominated his education. As we all know, this is the early 30s, right? So this was quite a change, an era of change in architecture and architectural education. He became a staunch advocate of modern architecture, believing that replicating the designs of the past choked the architectural vitality of the future. After graduation, he worked in private practice and in 1936 began an 11-year teaching career at the University of Oklahoma. He dreamed of a chance to fully realize his impact on the teaching and changing the curriculum of architecture. That opportunity finally came in 1947 when Chancellor Harrelson sent Henry a telegram offering him the position of Dean of the newly formed School of Architecture and Landscape Architecture at State College, now North Carolina State University. He brought in top architects, landscape architects, and artists as faculty. He revamped the curriculum, instituted a distinguished visitors program, fostered an acclaimed student publication, and placed the School of Design on the leading edge of modernism. During the Camp Hefner years from 1948 to 1973, 5 of the school's students won the Paris Prize, 6 students won fellowships at the American Academy in Rome, and faculty and students won 3 Guggenheim Fellowships and 19 Fulbright Scholarships. In the 1985 edition of Who's Who in America, he summed up what architecture meant to him. I've dedicated my energy to encourage the production of a lasting excellence in the physical environment. There's no doubt that he had a lasting impact on education as well as generations of architects, particularly here in North Carolina. So we are here tonight to celebrate this legacy. In 1987, through the AIA North Carolina Board of Directors and the North Carolina Architectural Foundation, Dean Camp Hefner endowed a prize to be awarded annually to one architect who embodies principles of modernism. The Camp Effner Committee comprised of Phil Shostak, Jeffrey Lee, Roger Cannon, Vinny Vicharka, Catherine Hogan, who is our incoming chair for next year. Bob Thomas and me met on October the 6th to deliberate on this year's candidates and came to a unanimous decision about this year's Camp Effner Prize winner. He received his undergraduate degree at Davidson College and his master's degree from the College of Design at North Carolina State. His buildings combine potent and clearly defined conceptual ideas, coupled with strong relationships to their site. In just 10 years since the inception of his firm, he's been recognized with over 50 design awards, has been a featured speaker for many universities and AIA chapters across the country, and his work has been featured in several national publications. And as if he wasn't busy enough, he is also a professor of practice at the College of Design at North Carolina State. His passion and his work shone through in his submittal. His portfolio was beautifully conceived and his work was exceptional. Gary, if you would roll the video, please.
The Camp Effner Prize was established by Henry Camp Effner, founding dean of the School of Design at NC State. The qualifications for the award are as follows: be a member in good standing of AIA North Carolina, a practicing architect for a period of at least 10 years, and, in the words of Dean Camp Effner, has demonstrated a consistent integrity and devotion to further the development of the modern movement in architecture without yielding to any of the undesirable current cliches, neo-modernistic mannerisms, or artless historicism that have flawed the building culture of today. AIA North Carolina and the Camp Effner Selection Committee are proud to honor Matthew Griffith, AIA, from Raleigh as this year's Camp Effner Prize winner.
I first met Matt when he came to school here at NC State University. He was coming here as a graduate student, but I knew about Matt because my wife went to undergraduate at Davidson with Matt and Matt's wife, Ashley. So I already knew of him. You know, I could already tell that he had this passion for architecture, even though at that point he didn't know a lot about it, and that he was already a bit of a force of nature. Somebody who's very passionate about what he's doing, and architecture obviously has been something that he's dedicated his education to, but also his life to and practice now to win this award.
About Matt, I admire his passion and his design rigor, and coupled with the modern sensibility that's embedded in each of his projects, I think makes him made him a strong candidate, I felt, for the Camp Effner Prize.
Kind of consistently demonstrated a high level of interest in modern architecture, the importance of design, the importance of considerations of multiple ideas, and especially those ideas, I think, that are we would all consider important in creating good architecture.
I think Matt is deserving of the Camp Effner. If you look at what the Camp Effner is given for, excellence in the development of the modern movement. And I think obviously Matt meets that. But I think what's really important is that his work pushes that boundary too. It's not just redoing things that, perhaps were of the way of doing things in Camp Effner's day, but Matt really has modernized modern, right? In a way that makes it fresh and contemporary. And
what I try and remember in thinking about the Camp Effner Prize is that in one of the early memos that I've read that Henry Camp Effner wrote about his goals for the prize, it was really to celebrate mid-career architects. It was conceived to kind of encourage architects in mid-career, to encourage work in progress, to say, we know you're working really hard and we see you and keep going. So I think that Matt really fits the goal that Henry had for this award, which was to say you've done some really, really fine work. But man, you're just getting started. So celebrate tonight, go home, get a good night's sleep, and hit it again hard tomorrow.
That what you also see with Matt that might draw this back to Camp Hefner is his great design ability, but his ability to teach as well. He brings that same level of commitment and skill, dedication, passion to the studios that he teaches. And so I think what you're going to see in a few years is, you're going to see some of Matt's students winning the Camp Hefner.
In my involvement with him, he's in fact, in many respects, kind of driven, if you want to think of it that way, toward excellence, so that he uses his intelligence, I think, to dissect what is happening and how to resolve conflicts, as well as to lead, whether it's a student or whether it's a young designer in his office.
Matt, I just want to congratulate you on an award that is so well deserved. You've worked hard, but not just that. You're incredibly talented. You're incredibly skilled. You bring a light to the profession that I think is incredible. The way that you've served your office, but also served your clients and in the architectural community.
I think Henry Camp Hefner would be very pleased that you were being awarded this distinction.
My heartfelt congratulations for a job really well done. But again, a job not done. It is a prize for a mid-career architect. So I really look forward to seeing what happens next. Congratulations.
I have the misfortune of having to talk right after Dennis Stallings, who David and I were saying has the best radio voice we've ever heard. So those of you who know me know that I'm super uncomfortable in front of people, mainly because I'm rarely prepared, sometimes emotional, and tonight's the first night I'm having to wear glasses in public to see what I'm doing. So it's a pretty big night. I did write some notes that I wanted to share, and I'm realizing they're probably too long, but this only happens once. So I'll start by thanking the AIA North Carolina. I've known David and the rest of the staff there for years, and thankful for the work they do, and incredibly thankful for this recognition. Also to the Camp Hefner Committee, it's the most intimidating award submission you could ever make, because you know that the committee is all people who've also been recipients of this honor. And so many of those folks I look up to, including many of the people in the room tonight. And so I'm very thankful to have received this. It's also super good to be back in person at these events. It's a diminished crowd for understandable reasons, but it's been a really hard 18 months for all of us in the design professions. And honestly, for me, it's been a really hard 27 months. And this is a welcome flicker of light at this point in my life. The inherent problem with individual recognitions is that all of us at our best are the fruit of those who poured their energy into us. And with architecture in particular, it takes many hands to do great work. So I have a bunch of people I want to thank. First are my parents. They're here. You don't have to wave or anything, but you can. Yeah. And they're incredible. You should say hi before you leave. They made sure that I found something that I loved and pursued it really hard. And they made sure that that thing was something that would matter. And I'm very thankful for that. They also have an academic bent, which is why I teach. I couldn't escape it. My beautiful wife, Ashley, who's sitting right next to them, is also here. If you know her, she's one of the few people in the world who has more energy than I do. And she definitely keeps pace with me. She's also a minister, which is much more important than being an architect. So she reminds me not to take myself too seriously. We've been married for nearly 24 years, which feels like a miracle every day. And then my kids, who are in the back, are here as well. They've suffered through so many detours and so many completely unrealistic expectations. And I'm so glad you guys have put up with me. I also want you to find something to do that you love and to do it well. The bottom line with those folks is that the personality traits that make architects do what they do are not always easy to live with. And I'm thankful to all of you for living with me for as long as you have. I also have to thank a lot of teachers and mentors. Roger Clark, the first architecture professor I met, Pat Rand, Wendy Redfield, Gail Borden, the Cannons, Steve Maloney, Marlon and Ati Blackwell, and Frank Harmon. And those last three in particular, Marlon, Ati, and Frank, really showed me that important small work was possible outside of the major cities. There have also been nearly 20 collaborators in the office over the years. My incredible former partner, Aaron, Nicole, Jeremy, Oz, Mary, Jake, Jackie, Brittany, Natalie, and currently in the office, Brittany, who I already said, Vince, Jazz, Meredith, Sarah, Megan, and Zach. Zach couldn't be here tonight, but Zach, is incredible for those of you who know him, and he's been really functioning as a partner for the last 2 or 3 years. This recognition is as much theirs as it is mine. We also, as architects, work with countless consultants and contractors without whom our work would not be possible. I also need to thank all of my students. I always tell folks teaching architecture studios like going to the gym for a designer. You're constantly challenged and constantly surprised. And I'm so thankful to my students for challenging me every day. And I want every one of my students to be better at this than I have been. There are also other architects in our community who are incredible. The Triangle is just unfairly blessed with an incredibly talented and incredibly tight group of design architects, many of whom are also Camp Hefner recipients. It's such a generous community. In fact, our very first project that we ever had was given to us by Vinny and Catherine. So what an amazing testament to the community we work in. And then, of course, the clients. And, we're so fortunate to have found kind people who have great ideas. A few closing thoughts. Modernism is beautiful to me, but it has ultimately proven to be problematic in some ways. It can be cold and unrelenting. It has been used as an instrument of power and control. It is not a particularly inclusive definition of beauty in all cases. Because of that, in our office, we choose to focus instead on invention, trying to find a new architecture with every project, taking risks in any way we possibly can. The importance of the built environment demands this of us, especially in a city like Raleigh that's growing so quickly. There are a few quotes that have stuck with me over the years. The first was when I was a final year student at NC State by Glenn Murcutt, who had come to give a lecture. And he told all of us to start where we wanted to finish. For me, that meant leaving North Carolina, going to Arkansas, and witnessing firsthand how to blaze a trail. Just in awe of Marlon Blackwell. There's also a great quote by Shimon Sutcliffe that I heard at a lecture they gave. It's very simple. We're no good, but we're slow. It's an incredible sales pitch, because it actually means something. If you're always doing original work, you're by definition no good at it. And good work takes a long time. The third quote is from Kenneth Luker, who recently was given this recognition. We were in the breezeway at the school design. The leadership committee was there, or the design guild, or some group that I'm not a part of. And I was standing awkwardly somewhere like I usually do. Kenneth came up and introduced me to some folks. And he introduced me as the principal of Raleigh's garage band office. At first, it was kind of like, wow, okay, that's great. But I thought more about that, and I think he meant it sincerely. We are risk takers. Despite the scale of our work, we think it's important. We're aspirational, and like the best garage bands, we're pretty sure it's all low stakes. So I appreciate that we've been offered this recognition, that the work of our odd little office has gained some attention, and that this has been offered to this no longer young man who never really understood the rules in the first place. And I hope that we can continue to take risks, believe that our work is important, aspire to improve the built environment, and always remember the stakes, which is to never take ourselves too seriously. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis. Please pass along our appreciation to the Camp Hefner Committee for their work this year. We move on to the presentation of the AIA North Carolina Firm Award.
The AIA North Carolina Firm Award shall be awarded to a North Carolina firm that has consistently produced quality architecture with a verifiable level of client satisfaction for a period of at least 10 years as an established presence in this state. This award is the highest honor the chapter can bestow upon a firm. This year, we are pleased to present the AIA North Carolina Firm Award to Jenkins Pier Architects of Charlotte, North Carolina.
You know, I first worked with Jenkins Pier about a quarter of a century ago when I was at North Carolina State University. And it's been very gratifying to come back and work with a mature, professional, technical firm. It's been a great experience.
But they actually worked very closely with our needs for public recreation and needs for Queen, come up with a wonderful plan that combined those needs into the park facility that we have today, which is called the Queens University Sports Complex at Marion Deal Park.
They have stepped up and they've done what's good for the project with consideration of function, cost, schedule, and the aesthetics of the project. And it's been really gratifying to work with them. I've served probably over the better part of $1 billion as an owner's representative on construction projects. And I've had the opportunity to work with almost every imaginable architectural type of firm. And I've been really pleasantly surprised to work with JPA.
I think one thing that they do exceptionally well is their research on the projects and understanding the client's needs. And then they seem to tailor their approach based on those needs and selecting partners from different disciplines that have strong skill sets to do like the site work, the special engineering work, or the sports and recreation component, from anything like the design and selection of equipment to even the design of the fields and playing surfaces. And the fact that they are willing to surround themselves and go above and beyond what they have internally to make sure that they partner with the right people to deliver that fine end product is very refreshing. And I think it speaks a lot for their integrity and their willingness to make a positive impact, whether it's just the natural and the built environment.
Really the continuity of problem solving. And, we talked about collaboration. Collaboration is, in this particular type of instance, it's a lot of individual collaboration before you get to a final decision. You don't have everybody in one room. So JPA goes around to all the different constituents of the project to try and come at what's a reasonable solution to the host of problems that come up. Yeah, technical problems, aesthetic problems, but they've always focused on what's good for the project.
I want to thank Jenkins Peer for their work, their ability to actually ascertain and understand the needs of their constituents and their clients, including me. And I'm just very pleased with the work that they've done for us. I wish them well. I can't think of another firm that's more deserving of this award. And so I salute them. Thank you.
You know, it's architecture is a problem-solving process, and the process doesn't end when you start construction. And they've really stepped up throughout the entire process, and I'm grateful for it. I'd like to say congratulations to the entire team at JPA. You deserve it, and keep doing that. Thanks.
We want to thank AIA North Carolina for this award. We're very humbled and honored and ecstatic all at the same time. We also want to thank our employees, past and present. We're really nothing without their contribution. Of course, we want to thank our clients with their trust that they put in us and the collaboration and partnership that make this all possible. And lastly, we want to thank Jody and Tyke, who started the firm 43 years ago and really ingrained a culture and a pursuit, a relentless drive of design excellence in the firm that continues to this day, and that we strive every day to pass down to the next generation of ownership.
Just want to add, number one, the American Institute of Architects. These are all North Carolina architects that have been together over 43 years. And we came together with one purpose in mind, and we're North Carolina architects. We are not from Philadelphia or Pennsylvania or wherever the hell it might be. We're from North Carolina, practicing, went to NC State University, and it's that kind of drive and tradition that's very important, I think, to the architecture of this state. Thank you.
Our final chapter award is the highest honor the chapter can bestow on a member, the F. Carter Williams Gold Medal. Before we reveal the winner, I want to publicly thank Carol Williams Bilbrough, Carter's daughter, who has nurtured and maintained the endowment that has funded the prize connected with this honor for the last 20 years. Let's see who the winner is.
This is the highest honor presented by the chapter to a member of AIA North Carolina. It is awarded to an individual in recognition of a distinguished career or extraordinary accomplishments as an architect. The award is named in memory of Raleigh architect F. Carter Williams, FAIA. This year we are honored to give the F. Carter Williams Gold Medal to Tehran Duda, FAIA.
I first met Teron 50 years ago in school. We shared a studio with Arnie Aho. It's really been amazing watching him and somewhat a little jealous on what he gets to do. But after school and going off to Yale and working for Caesar Pelli for many years, he became really one of the top designers in Pelli's office. He continued to do work all over the world, but until he came back to North Carolina and opened up his own office in Durham, I really didn't see much of him, just his work.
Well, his firm, Duda Payne, has just done amazing work, not only in the Southeast, but across the U.S. and really internationally even. They have a focus on really large and many times corporate or mixed-use projects, which in many times can be sort of an overwhelming factor to a neighborhood or an area. But I think they have a really sensitive touch in how they bring such large-scale work in to an existing neighborhood and try to give something back to that neighborhood and that community.
And so his impact on Durham was kind of interesting because when they first came here, they were out-of-town architect. Their address was here, but they didn't have a presence. But over the quarter of a century that they've been here now, I think it's almost 25 years, that has changed. And so downtown Durham, Duke University, and yes, in North Carolina Central University, all having projects that have Teron's hand on it.
His work is very notable on many skylines all around North Carolina and Texas and even in Mexico. He just done great work, and he has a very dedicated staff that he's really taught a way of designing and a way of thinking about urbanism and about architecture.
He's really all about teaching. I know that the emerging professionals that work at the Duda Payne firm really get a great education in design and architecture, and he's very thoughtful and purposeful about bringing those young people along.
He's collaborative. He looks for input. He'll ask for your input. He leads the show. But he listens, and that's important. He wants to hear what you have to say.
Congratulations, Teron. Thanks for all your hard work in North Carolina making this look really good. As you know, I'm a big proponent of North Carolina architects doing North Carolina work, and you've done a great job. And just want to make sure that we all know that there is a whole office behind you, and your partner, Jeff Payne, should share in this.
Teron, congratulations on winning the highest award that North Carolina AIA gives. I know that it's well deserved as a contemporary, and I think we said maybe an early birthday present for you, or late one, whichever way you look at it, but a good one and well deserved. Nothing that you sought, but one that has sought you. Congratulations.
Well, Teron, congratulations on winning the gold medal. I can't think of anyone that's any more worthy. You've got an incredible body of work, and you should be very proud of everything that you've accomplished in your career. Congratulations.
Humbled is the word I've heard a lot of tonight. And these days when people ask me, how are you doing? Pretty simple, I'm living my dream. And it's one of those things that we can talk about, but to actually be able to do it is such a gift. I'm living my dream because when you wake up every day, the little fires go off in your head.
You have inspiration. You have invention, capacity to dream. It could be better. We're really fortunate in life. We're blessed to be touched and guided by exceptional people. My parents were exceptional people. My father taught me to be curious and to be resilient. My mother taught me the importance of wisdom and patience. So it's my father, the European immigrant, who asked me as a high school student, "Well, Turab, what do you want to become?" I said, "I want to be an artist." No. You will be starving your whole life and I will not support you. Find something practical. Look, the newspaper, there are want ads for accountants. I said, "I'm not good at math." Okay, find something practical. Well, this is really what led me to architecture, because architecture is a form of art that we all practice and dream about. Well, I feel like I'm entering the 4th chapter of my career right now. And there's some great chapters that come before that. The first one was as a student at NC State College of Design, 1972. Now, I'm glad there was some mention today about Dean Camp-Hefner, because I took my little portfolio as a high school kid. I walked into Camp-Hefner's office, and he gave you that stern look that any of you who have known him, he'll give you that look. He said, "Sit down." I sat down and he started leafing through the drawings. And all of a sudden he stopped. I had done a drawing of a man with hands up, holding 2 people, and those 2 people were holding 4 other people, and then 8. It was an upside down pyramid of people. He stared at it for a couple of minutes, and then he looked at me and he said, "What is architecture?" And I said, "That's what I'm here to find out." He said, "Good answer." And he continued looking through the portfolio. We were blessed to have Duncan Stewart, George Berline, Vince Foote, and Joe Cox, and many others. Not just teachers, artists, architects, thinkers, designers. They taught us so much. They taught me how to learn. How do you learn? How do you ask the right questions? They taught us that design is everywhere. Vince Foote asked us on the first day of class, he said, "How many of you have done your first assignment?" And we're looking around going, "We haven't heard about it." But how many of you dressed yourselves this morning? That was a design challenge. When you start thinking about design that way, your whole world is about design. They taught us that it's not just about drawing design, it's also having a critical eye. Sometimes it's not about drawing, it's about making the right choices. Having an eye and being able to see. Most importantly, they taught us how to develop our very own design process. What could be more valuable? This is what I took with me when I went to Yale. And first year I was actually teaching, because the process that they taught was so powerful and so strong. The second chapter was working with Cesar Pelli. He was the dean of the school at Yale. I learned from a true master and mentor. I learned the power of listening, and listening really well, and the importance of it. I learned a set of convictions about architecture. I learned how to lead by watching Cesar, seeing how he does it. It's amazing. I learned the value of collaboration and respect. I learned how to say no politely to a client. We've all been in that situation. Collaboration and respect was important because this is how I found Jeff. We worked together for 10 years on a project together, and something just seemed seamless. It's just a wonderful relationship we had in terms of how we complement each other. Brought us to the next chapter in which Jeff and I decided we're going to leave. We're going to start our own firm. Jeff wanted to go to Austin, and I said, no, we're moving to Durham. And so we came to Durham 25 years ago. They say in life, choosing your partner well is important. And boy, I certainly did. We discovered that when you're in the trenches, when time is difficult, each of you rise to the occasion, you find out what the other is made of. And we also told each other, if you start a band, don't get two drummers. Our skill sets complemented each other, and frankly, I don't think I could have done any of what you saw on the screen without Jeff. That kind of a strong bond, a strong connection that we have, I think we've probably spent more time with each other than our wives. Tough business. I learned that architecture is a business and an art. And if you're not doing the business right, you don't get to do the art. Important. After 25 years in practice, I'm entering the fourth chapter of my career. In all these years, we didn't just design buildings, we also built a great firm. And we have so many talented, wonderful people in our firm, the leadership, the next leadership, layers of leadership that we have, who really have allowed the work to become what it is. I can dream, I can teach, I can draw, I can do all these things. If you don't have the right people with you, who are going to support you, who are going to take your vision to the next level, who are going to challenge you, it's not going to happen. What could be more satisfying than to take something as fragile or as potent as an idea in your head and make it into something that will stand the test of time and build something that's going to change people's lives in a positive way? Wow, can't get any better than that. It's fantastic. There's one more remarkable person in my life, and that's my wife, Linda. She's endured 48 years of my obsession. All-nighters, road trips, stress, anxiety. 48 years of that, all the way from a student up until now. She would be here tonight, except that she's in San Francisco with my daughter who just had twins. But she would be here, and I said, no, you need to be there. I want to thank the committee. I want to thank my office. Fabulous, fabulous work. Every day when I come in the office, I clap my hands. It charges me up every time I walk around and I get to talk to people who are thinking about design, who are thinking, how can we make it better? How can we make architecture and keep elevating our own expectations of what we do? I'm thankful for the committee who has selected me. It's an incredible honor. Sometimes we work in our own little bubble and don't even think about what others think of us, what our peers think of us. We just do the best work we possibly can. And once in a while, when you get acknowledged, like many of you have tonight, it tells you that you're doing something good. And so I want to thank you for all of that, and good night.
Congratulations once again to all our deserving chapter award winners. I want to thank the awards committee for their efforts, and I want to remind everyone to make sure and keep submitting great candidates to the awards next year. We think a lot of the folks here tonight might be able to think of further worthy candidates for all these awards. So next year, when the nominations open, please get them to enter or help them enter, or whatever it takes. Because again, it's been a phenomenal journey to actually chair this committee. Thanks, everyone. And I'm going to turn it back over to Laura.
And please extend our thanks to the jury for their work and dedication in selecting this deserving group of chapter award winners. Before we end the evening, we have one final recognition that we'd like to make. This year marks 20 years that our Executive Vice President, David Crawford, has worked for AIA North Carolina. To recognize that achievement, we have a short presentation. Carrie, roll the video.
I know that this event has been a great one tonight. Congratulations to all the winners. Thanks always to Carrie and Maggie and Dave for putting on a great show. But this is all about Dave and his 20 years in North Carolina.
I have worked with Dave since day one when he first arrived. As a matter of fact, I was serving on the board when we got the resignation of his predecessor. And at that time, I was thinking, oh my goodness, how are we going to replace this person with someone as good? Little did I know that Dave Crawford would come on the scene and we'd have somebody that would be just far superior in so many different ways.
Well, I remember very well because I was a president of AIA North Carolina in 2000, and I was pregnant with my twin daughters when our current exec resigned to go to another association. And so it was definitely a moment of panic for me. And we interviewed several candidates, and Dave just stood out by far. He really had the passion, the knowledge, and I think he really was going to bring, I knew he was going to bring something special to AIA North Carolina.
So Dave's leadership in AIA North Carolina has elevated our association kind of beyond description. When you go to a national conference, whether it's grassroots or the national conference, or anywhere where there's representatives from other sections or other chapters, when they find out that you're from AIA North Carolina, they say, oh, you've got Dave Crawford, you're set to go.
I can tell you, Dave is well respected at the national level. Everybody knows him. Everybody respects his opinion on things and his judgment on things because generally he's been through it before.
You know, beyond his legislative sort of know-how, which is he is among a very small crop of executive directors that have sort of this kind of knowledge and know-how of how to operate in state legislature while also being the CEO of AIA. Beyond that, I think one of the most notable things is that, you know, I am here right now in the creation of the largest ground-up Center for Architecture in the country, and this would not have been possible without Dave.
No doubt, the most significant was the creation of the Center for Architecture and Design. And so I had the good fortune of working with Dave, we were joined at the hip pretty much throughout that entire process. And I tell you, there were times it was agonizing. The sausage making behind the scenes to make all of that work, it was an enormous task. And Dave was right in there making sure and providing the staff leadership that was needed to make that happen.
My favorite thing about working with Dave is that he's a great balance of professionalism and working when work has to be done, but then letting loose when the work is over. And I think that that is a great way to build camaraderie between staff and the ex-com and board, as well as the general membership.
He was always extremely supportive and helpful to me. One of the best bosses I've ever had.
I think his diplomacy, he can walk into any situation and go into it with a clear mind and no bias and sit there and listen to both sides of a story or an issue, like when he's in the legislature, and get all the facts he needs to before he makes a decision. It could be.
He is very encouraging, and he is always open to new ideas. And I think that that has given him a lot of space as a leader to allow the organization to grow in the ways that the organization wants to grow. And I think that is a very important leadership quality.
There are three architects that are no longer with us now. And I just want to speak on their behalf for just a moment. And of course, that's they were good friends of all of us. With Phil Freelon, Steve Schuster, Marvin Malika. These were all great architects that worked with us, and I know individuals that you relied upon intensely, and I know that if they were here now, they would be speaking also and talking about the living legacy that you have created in your service for the American Institute of Architects.
Dave, congratulations on 20 years with AIA North Carolina. We wouldn't be where we are without your leadership, and we're so, so grateful to have you here.
Congratulations on working with AIA North Carolina for 20 years.
I know we brought you a lot of gray hairs, but you brought us a lot. We are an incredible organization because of what you've done and what you've provided as our leader.
Thank you for your leadership at the state level. Nobody can just make it this far as an executive director of AIA by accident. It has to be intentional, and I think, at least from the people that I've talked to and from the staff, you are intentionally still here because you do a really damn good job.
I hope one day soon, Dave, see you on a cruise or traipsing through Europe, and we can reminisce and celebrate all the times we had together. Cheers.
First of all, you're all fired. It's not on the script. And I sincerely want to apologize to my friends from Jenkins Pier because I know you had reservations at 8 o'clock. And I was told by Carrie, who puts the show together, there's no way we're getting out of here by 8 o'clock. I'm thinking, how the hell is that possible? We timed this down to the minute. There's no way we're going to be out of here at 8 o'clock. So now I know why. Thank you very much, everyone. So those of you who haven't known me for 20 years, and you just kind of last 10 maybe, do you realize I did have dark hair at one point? I thought it actually started going gray in my 20s, but looking through all the pictures from the past, I think it really progressed to this stage about 10 years ago, and that's when we opened the Center for Architecture and Design. But it's been a wonderful ride here for 20 years, and most of you know I came from California, specifically San Diego, where I grew up my entire life in Southern California. So it was a big move to come here to the South. I didn't quite know what I was getting into. But 20 years later, I know my wife and I talk about this all the time. It was the best move we could have possibly made. So I want to thank everybody for their support. I want to thank my staff. I want to thank my board this year. I didn't get to say this during the membership meeting, but this has been one of the most engaged and active boards I've ever been a part of. And Thank you so much for all the support you all have given me and my family. This was very unexpected. Guys, I think Jenkins Pier, you can get to your dinner now. So thank you, everyone.
Secret script that Harry gave me, so that's why they didn't know. One last plug. I know most of you are aware, but we can't let a membership meeting opportunity go by without letting you know about the change in our annual conference next year. For the last 3 years, and hopefully in perpetuity, the South Atlantic region has combined its conference forces to put on the Aspire Conference. Of course, COVID has stymied a couple of those years with our intention of unboxing the traditional conference. No soulless convention centers, no windowless hotel ballrooms, no trade show walk of death. The city of Asheville was to become the venue with local historic buildings as classrooms, performing arts theaters for inspiring keynotes and entertainment throughout the 3 days. We certainly hope that in 2022, we will be back in Asheville in person to completely fulfill our long-term vision for this conference. We hope you'll plan to be with us in mid-September of next year. With that,